for the exam. So the exam, the first part will be on Monday, and then parts 2 and 3 will be on Tuesday. Part 1 will be the multiple choice. We'll go over all that today. But so if you go into Schoology and you click on your CHAD, and in Unit 1, there is a slide ID review. There are 20 works of art that I want you to memorize. Make flashcards. That is the best way to memorize. This is a normal part for art history exams in college, is to memorize artworks. Here is a testing strategy I think would work for you. For Monday, really all you need to memorize on these 20 works of art is the art style, because that is what you will be tested on Monday. There are 10 of these artworks in the test where I'll show you the picture and ask you, what is the style of this artwork? So you need to know that. That's what I would memorize for Monday. And then for Tuesday, I would memorize the rest of this information, the title, the artist name, and the date, as well as the style. All right, you'll be tested on that. And there'll be 5 of these. And like last time, it'll be chosen via Dungeons and Dragons dice. All right, that tells you about this. So let's go into the multiple choice review. And our first word is anamorphic image. That is the image that you can only see it from an extreme point of view. That was the stretched out skull in the French ambassadors. That was the sidewalk chalk art piece. I want you to know what the Annunciation is. There's different common themes in Renaissance art: Annunciation, Deposition, Pietà, Madonna and Child. These are all very common images in Renaissance art, and I'm going to show you the pictures, and I'm going to show you pictures of artwork I've never shown you before, and you should be able to tell me the title of it by what you see in the artwork. So the Annunciation, what would you see in the Annunciation? All right, I know you guys are sleepy. All right, so that would be Gabriel announcing that to Mary that she's going to have a baby. So there'd be an angel talking to a woman. All right, that's the Annunciation. All right, Arnolfini and his wife. Know it. I talked about this painting at length. I told you a lot of stuff about it. There's a question on the test about something that I talked about in this painting. And, you know, to be fair to you guys, what's the general theme of the painting? That's really what I'm going for. All right, what's the painting about? All right, the word Cinquecento is on the test. What does Cinquecento mean? All right, for the contest, to be fair to you guys, all right, so I want you to know who won the contest. And I'm also showing you both artworks from the contest, and you need to be able to identify which one it is. So you need to be able to identify it by picture. And you need to know who the artist was. Deposition, just like the Annunciation, the deposition is taking Christ off of the cross. What do you usually see in that picture? You usually see a ladder. That's the sign that the picture is it would be called deposition. Diptych. What is a diptych? Donatello's David. I talked at length about that sculpture. I want you to know it. All right. There's a question in the test about something that I discussed of this sculpture. There's a question about the donors. How do you know donors when you see them? Engraving. I want you to know the difference between engraving, intaglio, woodcut. Those words are also in here. All right, it's a printmaking style. It's where they scratch into the plate, Cover the whole thing with ink and then wipe off the ink off the surface. And the ink that's left in the scratches gets pressed into the paper. Entombment, like Annunciation and Deposition, entombment was a common image in the Renaissance. What is an entombment? That's right, you're putting somebody in their tomb. That would typically be a bunch of people carrying a dead person, right? Or lowering a dead person into something. All right, fresco is on the test. Know the difference between buon fresco and fresco secco. Fresco succo. Genre is on the test. If I told you we were going to go to the museum to look at a bunch of genre paintings, what would you expect to see? Common people doing what? Common things. If I told you that we were going to the museum to look at an iconoclasm exhibit, what would you expect to see? Nothing. All right, know the difference between intaglio and engraving and woodcut. Intaglio, same thing as engraving, but instead of scratching, they use acid to etch into the plate. They cover the metal plate with a film. You know how like you get a new TV set or a new phone and it has that piece of plastic that's on the top that you peel off? It's like something like that. You know, it would have been brushed on, but you know, you would scratch through it and then you would scratch into the plate. And then you would scratch through the surface through that cover, put it into a vat of acid, and the acid would eat into the plate. All right, the Eisenheim altarpiece. Know it. I talked at length about the Eisenheim altarpiece. That's the one about St. Anthony's fire. Lady with an ermine. I talked at length about that. There's a question about that, about something that I discussed in class. I want you to know what a landscape is. That's one of those art terms you should have known before you started this class. There's a question about the characteristics of mannerism. How would you know mannerism if you saw it? There's a question about Martin Luther. What did he do? I discussed the Medici, and I want you to know them. There's a question about the Medici on the test. Memento Mori. You should know that. Almost every artwork had Memento Mori in it. I don't want almost every artwork, but like a good number of them. Mona Lisa. I talked about the Mona Lisa. I talked about details of it. So there's a question about one of the details that I discussed. Also, on your slide ID, I used to make my students know the other title of the Mona Lisa. That's the Portrait of Lisa Gherardini. You guys feel free to call it the Mona Lisa. So on your slide ID study sheet, it'll say Portrait of Lisa Gherardini. That's the Mona Lisa. On the test, on the slide ID, I will accept Mona Lisa as the answer if the dice should show it. All right, I want you to know the difference between oil paint, tempera paint, and fresco. Do you guys remember the Orson Michele? That was that building that had those sculptures around the outside. And then we also looked at the little niche that had the 4 sculptors in there. There's a question about orthogonals. You should know what an orthogonal is. You should know what a patron is and what they do. Patron is basically somebody that commissions artworks. And during the Renaissance, we had a huge shift in who commissions artwork, from being only the church to being the church and patrons. You should know what the Pietà is. A Pietà was a common image in the Renaissance, just like the Annunciation and Deposition and Entombment. There were lots of Pietà artworks. You should know what a polyptych is. There's diptych, triptych, polyptych. You should know the difference between them. Quattrocento. You should know what quattrocento means. There's a question about the effects on art from the Reformation. There is a question of relief on this test. And I believe in this question, I'm going to show you a relief sculpture that I did not show in class. And you need to be able to tell me if it's low relief or bas relief. Wait, is bas relief low relief? Uh-oh. All right. Typo. So this is bas relief and high relief. So change low to high. Yeah, in fact, I can undo that right now. High relief and bas relief. You should know the basic characteristics of Renaissance art. I want you to know who influenced the Renaissance artists, or what were they influenced by. There will be a RoboCop question. Know who RoboCop is? Or why is RoboCop important to art history, at least in this class? All right, there's a question about the School of Athens. I talked at length about the School of Athens. And with these questions of know the artwork, I'm generally kind of looking at like the main theme of the artwork. That's what I really want you to know. With the exception of the lady with the ermine. That question is pretty specific. The Sistine Chapel ceiling, you should know it. I talked at length about the Sistine Chapel ceiling. So, to be fair on this one, there's two questions about the Sistine Chapel ceiling. One is about making the Sistine Chapel ceiling, and the other question is about what it's about, to be fair to you guys, because there's a lot that I talked about. You should know what tempera paint is. Throne of Mercy is another common image in Renaissance art. We got Annunciation, Deposition, Entombment, Pietà, Throne of Mercy. So I'm going to show you a picture of a Renaissance artwork that we never looked at in class, and you should be able to identify the title of it by the clues that are in the painting. Tell me if it's a Throne of Mercy or... So how would you know a Throne of Mercy? Yeah, that's right. It would have God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus in it. How do you know the Holy Spirit when you see it? It's a dove. Know what a triptych is? Diptych, triptych, polyptych. There's another typo. It's not the Venus of Rubino. It's the Venus of Urbino. All right. These were the two paintings. Very similar. Why are they important? You should know what a woodcut print is. And finally, zealot. The word zealot appears on the test a couple of times. So know what a zealot is. It wasn't one of our terms that I made you guys write down, but like a religious zealot is somebody that's crazy about religion, does crazy things. So with zealots, we're talking about iconoclasm. They're the guys that went into churches and destroyed artwork because it was sinful. I went through the test, and these are all terms that are on the test. Not all of these things that I gave you today are the answers. Some of them are the non-answers. So you should know all of these terms in order to choose which ones are answers and which ones are not answers. Are there any questions about anything? And as before, so on the second part of the test, we will do slide ID and unknowns. And for those of you over at Park, unknowns is I will show you a work of art that I did not show in class, and you need to be able to identify what the style is and give me reasons for that. So you will write a paragraph or two, and basically just tell me what the style is and why you think that. So tell me, so let's say if it is, as we get later into the semester, if it's, distilled, then you know that it's like all white background with red lines and yellow lines and blue lines and red shapes, red squares and blue squares. That's how you would know it's distilled. So you would write that down. And then, try to write down as much as you can about that artwork and use like the terms that I taught you in class. That's what the unknown is. All right. It should be like a paragraph. and basically just tell me that you know what you're talking about. Like you can go to a museum, see things you've never seen before, and be able to identify and discuss reasons why. All right, that'll be it for today.